Viewers, on Monday, the US imposed visa restrictions and other sanctions on Ethiopia and Eritrea over human rights abuses committed in Tigray. But the US is not stopping at these sanctions. Yesterday, two developments took place which indicate that in the coming days, the US could put more pressure upon Ethiopian government. Some US senators are calling for further sanctions under Global Magnitsky Act. What is Global Magnitsky Act, viewers? Firstly, what happened yesterday, viewers? Two developments happened. Firstly, President of the US, Joe Biden, issued his first statement on Ethiopia. The statement mentioned three important points. Firstly, Joe Biden talked about Tigray conflict. He called for immediate ceasefire in Tigray, for the withdrawal of Eritrean and Amhara forces from Tigray, an end to human rights abuses in Tigray, and secondly, viewers, he called for an inclusive political dialogue in Ethiopia. Not in the context of Tigray conflict, viewers. As a whole, he said that Ethiopia was in need of reconciliations. And thirdly, Joe Biden's statement addressed Ethiopian dam dispute as well. He called for a consensus over Ethiopian under construction dam. He said Jeffrey Feltman has been to the Horn of Africa. In the coming week, he'll be back in the Horn of Africa and he'll keep the president apprised of developments in the Horn of Africa. So we can see, viewers, that the president of the US is in touch with what's happening in Ethiopia, in the Horn of Africa. We could see further pressure upon Ethiopian government about Tigray in the coming days. Joe Biden's statement indicates that there are several points of contention between the US and Ethiopia. Yes, Tigray is the most important issue for the US. But apart from Tigray, the US is calling for an inclusive political dialogue. US is against unilateral second filling of Ethiopian dam as well. So we could see further pressure upon Ethiopia in the coming days regarding Tigray conflict, regarding release of political prisoners and second filling of Ethiopian dam. After this statement, viewers, we saw another development. US Senate's Foreign Relations Committee held a hearing on Ethiopia. And Robert Godek, State Department's Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of African Affairs, testified there. US aid official Sarah Charles also appeared there. Both of them described what's happening in Tigray. Robert Godek said that thousands have died in Tigray, thousands injured, 2 million internally displaced, 63,000 refugees in Sudan, 5.2 million in need of urgent assistance, and Sarah Charles informed that more than 22,000 are victims of rape and sexual violence. After this hearing, during this hearing, viewers, US senators demanded further sanctions under Global Magnitsky Act. Under this act, US imposes very strict restrictions on those individuals who are involved in human rights abuses. Their assets are freezed. They are barred from entry in the US, viewers. US has imposed sanctions on Russian officials as well in the past under Global Magnitsky Act. We could see further sanctions, additional measures against Ethiopian government officials under Global Magnitsky Act in the coming days, viewers. US senators talked about growing influence of China, Russia, Turkey, and some Middle Eastern countries as well in the Horn of Africa. They said these countries were trying to increase their influence and their military presence in the Horn of Africa, which was a point of concern for the US. That is what I said in my yesterday's video, that the US is concerned about expanding Chinese influence and Russian influence too in the Horn of Africa. And sanctions should be seen in the larger perspective that the US is not happy about China, Russia expanding influence into the Horn of Africa. Turkey has a very strong presence in Somalia, viewers. China has its presence in the Horn of Africa. I told you yesterday about Chinese investment in Ethiopia. Russia is building a naval base in Sudan, viewers. The UAE has a base in this region as well. Earlier, UAE was using a sub base in Eritrea. There is presence of several countries in this region, and US is not happy about these countries trying to expand their influence in this region. That is why Jeffrey Feltman has been appointed as an envoy to the Horn of Africa. So there are several aspects to the imposition of sanctions on Ethiopia and Eritrea. We could see further pressure upon Ethiopian government in the coming days. But the question, viewers, is will Ethiopian government listen to the US or not? In my view, Ethiopian government will not listen to the US until 21st of June. Prime Minister of Ethiopia wants to hold next elections at any cost. He wants to be re-elected, viewers. First and foremost priority for Abiy Ahmed is re-election. He will not hold talks with TPLF until he is re-elected. He will not go for any ceasefire. We won't see any withdrawal of Eritrean forces from Tigray. These things could happen after the 21st of June. But the US is calling for inclusive political dialogue. It means that the US wants postponement of elections. So there are a range of issues disputed between Ethiopia and the US. That is why we saw some sanctions against Ethiopia. Coming days, especially till the 21st of June, are very crucial for Ethiopia, viewers. Thank you for watching.